Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables, dregs of society, rock dwellers, sycophants, stinkos, all you hateful, racist people who celebrate the president and love the United States. You're always welcome here, and this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network, and joining me as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, that's Sharron Engel. Sharron, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to this show. I've got a preview of the guests, so I know that we're going to have some great guests on, and I'm really looking forward to talking to them about my favorite subject, which is election integrity. And I don't think anybody should have a different favorite subject this cycle through, because we know that elections have been stolen in the past, but this one's laying it all on the line this time. I feel like if they can steal this election, they've stolen our freedom, they've stolen our whole culture in one fell swoop, because the Democrats are out for blood. They really they promised us a change, and that's what their end goal is, and we're seeing it in the streets of our cities right now. I want to remind our listeners that we put up a letter last week from the Election Integrity Alliance. It's on our website. We want you to download that letter, sign it, and send it off to President Trump. The address is there as well. It's just, of course, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, 20500. That's Washington, D.C. zip code. And he does get those letters. Also, you might go on the website, Election Integrity Alliance, and sign up there personally on that petition, as well as if you have a group, an organization, sign up your organization as well to promote this. We want a summit with the president just to talk about election integrity, to share with him what we know that he needs to know. So we know he has advisors. They give him the short story. We want to give him the very long story about what we've been doing in each one of our states, and why it's so critical, especially in the battleground states, that he pay attention to how elections have been stolen in the past in these battleground states, which is why they're battleground states. They actually should be read, just like Nevada should be read, mostly conservative, but we have such a problem with corruption in our elections that you can't get a fair vote here. The other thing that I want to say is this is urgent. And the reason it's urgent is because of the National Voter Rights Act, which requires that 90 days before the election, we have our election rolls. If we're going to challenge them, we have that challenge in. So August the 5th, we have to have our challenge in to anything. Any registration that we feel is illegitimate has to be in by
Sharron,
then.
I think you need to go into a little bit more detail. This is news to me. So if you can go into a little bit more detail about this.
Well,
I never heard
the problem with our one of the problems is that we have a voter rolls that have been tampered with. And we know that happened. We remember Acorn. I don't think that's too far away from our remembrance to know that Acorn, especially in Nevada, registered to vote all of the Disney characters in the Dallas Cowboys. And they got fined and told that was very naughty of them to do, but that's all they got was a fine. They changed their name and went right back to work. Now, just because they got caught for the Disney characters in the Dallas Cowboys doesn't mean that they didn't do more damage with other registrations. And since that time, we've not really seen a purging of voters. And 1 in 8 voters in America is no longer a legitimate voter in the same place because they move, they die, they There are just a lot of reasons that they become inactive. And as we know, Las Vegas, during our primary, sent out 250,000 inactive mail-in ballots. So we had 250,000 of these guys that could be dead, change their address, illegal, whatever the problem was. They were out on the streets, and we saw them in trash cans. We saw them in overloaded mailboxes. We saw them on the sidewalks. And
same thing happened in California. Joe Messina, our friend from the Real Side Radio Show, Joe Messina found a stack of them on the street. Just dropped on the street, a stack of them.
So anyone can pick those up and vote them, especially if voter ID is not required. And with a mail-in ballot, of course, there is no real requirement there. In fact, we have ballot harvesters that go out and either collect them from the voter themselves or vote those ballots themselves. So there's just a huge opportunity when you have that many inactives on your voter rolls for a fraudulent election. And so what we need to do is go through and challenge all of those inactive voters, find the other inactives, because there's more than just the 250,000, I assure you, that should be on the inactive ballot list. And then we need to challenge that by August the 5th. If it isn't challenged, those people remain on the ballot in an active status if they are in that active status. And so what we need from the president is for him to do a state of emergency for our elections, really. That's what we need, is him to declare a state of emergency and give us an extension so that we can get those voter rolls cleaned up.
I agree.
And that's what this petition says. That's what we want you to do, is send that in. So make that remark to your president. We have a state of emergency in our elections, and we want him to deal with that.
All right. And it's really scary to me, Sharron. I really do believe the left, they've tried everything else to get rid of Donald Trump. They've tried every other thing, the Steele investigation, the Russian hoax, the impeachment, the Chinese flu. I still say this is a ploy to get rid of him, destroy the economy, destroy Donald Trump. It's simple. So again, our website, go to our website, www.ccrshow.com, www.ccrshow.com. It's right there. Be sure to send a letter to President Trump. Sharron, let's take a break, because today's show is packed with three of our favorite guests here on Conservative Commandos. I'm really excited to talk with these people. And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Drader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Today's show is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Sharron and I will be back. We'll tell you who our guests are and what the topics for conversations will be.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. You know, the hallmark of our show is our terrific guests. I'm so proud of the guests who come on to Conservative Commandos and inform us, enlighten us, and educate us. No one else, at least me. And today, Sharron Angle, we have three of my all-time favorite guests joining us.
And mine as well. Our first guest is Hans von Spakovsky, who is an authority on a wide range of issues, and a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Edwin Meese III Center for Law and Judicial Studies. His analysis and commentary have appeared everywhere, and I'm saying that not facetiously. He really is a prolific writer.
And He's everywhere.
He is, and he's written 2 books with John Fund. One is Who's Counting? How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk. The other is Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department. And sadly to say, that Justice Department is still in place. He has written an article, Hans has, and it's more than an article. It's actually an in-depth report, well-cited, and he gives 4 case studies just showing how fraud has been perpetrated in elections since 1991 to this day. So I'm excited to talk with Hans about that subject. Our second guest is Dr. Gerard Lamiero. He's an author, philosopher, economist, and engineer. He's the author of 5 books and is a popular TV and radio show guest. His latest book is Real World Socialism. And of course, Dr. Lamiero was a member of the 1980 Presidential Electoral College and personally voted for Ronald Reagan to be President of the United States. And he also has accurately predicted Trump's win in 2016 by the exact number, almost, of electoral votes. And we're going to have him on the show today to do some more predictions, along with commenting on an article he wrote about who's going to win the second revolution. Charlotte Hayes is our third guest. She's a director of cultural programs at the Independent Women's Forum, and she has appeared on programs such as Politically Incorrect, C-SPAN, Washington Journal, and PBS's To the Contrary. She's a former correspondent for the National Catholic Register and a feature writer at the Washington Times. She has written an article citing bullying by colleagues. Barry Weiss leaves the New York Times. this is an interesting turn of events. We've watched the New York Times just disintegrate before our eyes, and this may be the final blow. So we're looking forward to all of our guests today talking about these subjects.
All right, and Sharron, I just want to repeat what we talked about in the first segment. Please go to our website, ccrshow.com, sign the petition, send a letter to President Trump asking him for action to act. This is an emergency, right, Sharron? This is a real emergency.
I believe so. We've discussed it many times. We're going to discuss it more on this show. So I believe that we are in a state of emergency when it comes to our elections. But there's more than that at stake. You know, I wanted to talk a little bit about education. That's another one of my hot buttons. I was a teacher for over 25 years, and I know that your wife is a teacher. I would have loved to have had
you as a teacher.
Probably not.
I think I would have loved to.
I'm a pretty no-nonsense teacher. My students learned a lot.
I'm not so sure you would have wanted me as a student, but I would have loved to have had you as a teacher.
Well, I tell you, we always had a meeting of the minds where discipline was concerned. I was it, and they either obeyed or suffered the consequences. But, you know, the teachers' unions are pretty powerful. And here in Nevada, we're finding that they don't want to start school. Because of the COVID-19, the teachers.
In Nevada, Sharron, I think this is going on around the country. I mean, why go to work? Why go to a classroom with 20, 25 little kids there when you can sit home on your couch, eat potato chips all day, get fat, play on the computer with the guys that, we're going to teach the kids over the internet. This is garbage, Sharron Angle. It's garbage.
It is, but it's an opportunity, I think, Rick. You know, over this shutdown, parents have found that they're having to explore the alternatives. If you want your kid to have an education, you got to look and see where education can be found. And It's interesting how much online education there is, and probably much better education than what's going on in your school district. So here we have school choices at its finest. Go and find out. So many kids are ready for college. Go ahead, enroll them into a college of your choice, something like Liberty University or Hillsdale College. You know, this is the perfect opportunity to do that. For your younger kids, there are also ways that you can hire some of these teachers. Some of these teachers really do want to be in the classroom, really want to be teaching.
Yeah, I mean all of them, but I think when you talk about the union saying, we can't open schools, Sharron Angle, all it is they have found a way to stay home and get paid.
That's right.
They figured it out. Stay home and get.
In their letter to our school district, they want to talk about what in-person learning really looks like, which means it's a euphemism for in-person can be what we're doing right here, which we're not in the same room, but we're in person. They want to talk about non-paid leaves of absence and personal sick leave, and what are the options for teachers to request distance learning positions. So it's all about these teachers not going back to the classroom is what it is. But I'm saying this is an opportunity for parents to have their own school. Do a co-op with your neighbors. Find someone who's willing to have school at their house that's a stay-at-home mom, and hire a teacher and split the cost. It'll be much less costly to you than what you're paying for those public schools. And honestly, you'll get to decide what your children learn. You'll get to pick their sex ed curriculum or not. You'll get to pick their cultural diversity program or not. You may decide that all they really, really need to do is learn how to read, do writing, and have language arts skills, learn science and social studies, and actually know how to calculate in a way that you can help them with their homework, where it's not the process, it's actually the answer that counts. You can tell I'm on a rant here now, but I think this is an opportunity for parents to take this education system and teach them a lesson, that they're not the monopoly they thought they were, that there are Christian schools and that are ready to open. There are private schools that they can send their kids to. There are homeschooling that they can do. There are online schools. There are co-op schools. There are a myriad of alternatives, and parents need to look into those and start thinking proactively, because we know this education system has failed our children. They are actually propagandizing in our schools, and that's why we're getting kids on the other end that don't embrace our values, that think socialism is better than capitalism, that think policemen are a group of thugs, that are down protesting in the middle of Seattle and Minneapolis and Washington, D.C., tearing down statues and being useful idiots for the left. And we need to stop this now, and I think we have the perfect opportunity to do it.
Sharron, I wanted to take a minute before we go to a break, because I just got this email and I want to talk about it. It comes from bold Democrats, and this is how important this election is. This is where this election is going. This is why we fight each and every day. Bold Democrats, your signature is needed. We set a lofty goal to reach 100,000 signatures, and your signature is missing. If you agree that Barack Obama, would be a fantastic Supreme Court justice, sign our official pledge now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need a reason to make sure you get out and vote, if you need a reason to get like-minded people like you to get out and vote, this should be it. This is what they're doing, Sharron Engel. We've heard about the radical agenda from the left. This is part of it. Getting Barack Obama on the Supreme Court. Sharron Engel. I just had to get that in.
What a world we live in. Wow.
This guy destroyed the courts like no other. This guy destroyed the Justice Department like no other, he and Eric Holder. And they want to put this guy on the Supreme Court. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to win this election in November, because this is what your country's going to look like. It's going to look like Barack Obama. And Sharron, how many times have we talked about the power of courts? You know, there's supposed to be 3 equal branches of government: the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. We've seen how the courts are taking over. They're overrunning the White House. They're overrunning the Senate, the House of Representatives. Do you really want to see Barack Obama on the Supreme Court? If not, you better get out and vote. Sharron, let's go to break. You are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, our very good friend Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation will be joining us, talking about 4 cases of election fraud and how elections have been swung by illegal votes. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free. and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Just the end, one more time as a reminder for rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, Sharron, we do have our first guest of the day with us, and as you do all the time with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Well, it's always a pleasure to introduce and to welcome our good longtime friend, Hans von Spakovsky, who's an authority on a wide range of issues, including civil rights, civil justice, the First Amendment, immigration, the rule of law, and government reform. And as a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation Edwin Meese III Center for Legal and Judicial Studies, his analysis and commentary have appeared in the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Times, Political, Human Events, National Review Online, and Town Hall. Along with John Fund, he is the author of Who's Counting? How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk, and also another book, Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department. Hans, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Sharron, thanks for having me back.
It's always our pleasure, and we want to talk to you about another report that you've done. This one is a summary of all 50 states that have banned electioneering, but this vote harvesting, you're saying, is a form of electioneering.
Yeah, vote harvesting, for people who don't know what it is, means that in some states, well, look, in every state, you can mail back your absentee ballot if you vote that way. Or members of your family can deliver it in person, or you can deliver it in person. But unfortunately, in a number of states, too many really, they've legalized it for anybody to show up at your front door, to pick up your absentee ballot and supposedly deliver it to election officials. And that's called vote harvesting. The folks who do that are also known as ballot harvesters. And it's dangerous. Because what you're doing is you're putting something very valuable, a valuable commodity, ballots, into the hands of, potentially, candidates, campaign staffers, party activists, and political consultants who have a real stake in the outcome of the election and making sure that votes that might defeat their candidate don't make it to election officials.
Well, and they also are allowed to be there while you fill out the ballot sometimes and can put pressure on you. So that's really electioneering, isn't it?
It is. And folks, I think probably all know that electioneering is banned in all 50 states in or near a polling place. In other words, candidates can't show up inside a polling place and harangue you to vote for them. That's strictly illegal. But that law does not extend to people's homes. And again, it's just a bad idea to allow people working for candidates and others to be able to show up at your front door, to pressure you to vote, or to do what unfortunately happens in too many cases, fill out your ballot for you, or in some cases steal your ballot without you even knowing it, and voting it in your place.
Well, in this report, you have 4 case studies that are really, really interesting. And I thought that the span of years was the most interesting because you go back quite a ways with the first case to 1991. And the last case is 2018. So we've, it doesn't get better, does it, Hans?
No, I did that, Sharron, I did that on purpose to show that this kind of fraud has not changed. In fact, if you look at those 4 case studies, and look, these 4 case studies cover Indiana, North Carolina, Florida, and California, you see the same kind of techniques used in each case. And in each case, there was a widespread, massive absentee ballot fraud scheme that led to courts overturning the elections. And look, I only go through 2018, but if I write another paper in a couple of months, I'll be able to cover this year, because you probably saw right now already 4 individuals have been charged by the New Jersey Attorney General in Paterson, New Jersey, for voter fraud involving absentee ballots. And in fact, the election, their municipal election, the outcome is in doubt.
Not here in New Jersey. No. No.
I know, what a surprise.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think we've really seen some very interesting things, because even here in Nevada, we saw these mail-in ballots just piling up in garbage cans, on the sidewalks, in post offices. And you mentioned some of this in these case studies. I mean, these case studies are just almost a blueprint for how to defraud an election. And it's startling, I guess, the way that they do it. You can't think this stuff up. These are criminal minds, Hans.
Yeah, and the other common factor that you'll find in a lot of these cases is that it's clear from the investigations and what the defendants in the cases admit that while they got caught in the particular election I'm writing about, this was not the first time they had done it. This had clearly happened before. I mean, a good example of this is the North Carolina election that was overturned just 2 years ago, 2018. Look, one of the things that the defendant in that case, who's been charged, was doing was he would go to voters and get them to fill out an absentee ballot request form. And then he would take it back to his office, and guess what he did? He would photocopy it before he delivered it to election officials. Now, why would he do that? Well, because by photocopying the absentee ballot request form, he's now got the signature of the voter, which would make it easy for him, when he gets hold of the absentee ballot, to forge the voter's signature. And he kept a file of all these forms, not just for use in this election, but to use in future elections too.
Like I said, it's a criminal mind that thinks these things up. And it's premeditated, as you pointed out. He laid awake, made a plan, and he executed a plan. And is his name Dallas? Is that who this Dowles?
Dallas, yes.
That's his
Dallas.
name. I thought maybe it was a company that he had that, because it sounds like this is his business. He gets paid for this by candidates, right?
Yeah, no, he does. In fact, it's kind of ironic. He not only has been charged with voter fraud, but now he's been charged by a federal prosecutor with Social Security fraud. Why? Well, because while he was collecting $130,000 in consulting fees as a political consultant, basically in perpetrate this voter fraud scheme, he was also collecting disability benefits from the U.S. taxpayer.
Well, his mind wasn't disabled. A little bit dishonest, but not disabled. Too bad. Some of the other bad actors that you point out here, I thought were interesting. We had in Fresno, in California, in 1991, you have the Black American Political Association of California. Talk a little bit about what they did.
Well, they decided to target 13 local school board seats. And that, again, demonstrates, look, a lot of times this kind of fraud occurs in local elections. And so to do that, they basically set out to completely control the absentee balloting process. And they picked out the voters they wanted to target, specifically minority voters, African Americans, particularly the poor and infirm. And they would go to visit those voters in their homes, convince them to fill out an absentee ballot form or fill it out themselves. But you know how normally when you fill out an absentee ballot request form, you're requesting the election officials to send you, the voter, the ballot at your residence, right? This organization filled out the address so that the absentee ballots would get sent to them, not the voters. And they then would either, frankly, fill it out themselves and forge the voter's signature, or they would go to the voter's home and pressure them to vote the way these folks wanted them to vote. And again, that shows the problems with the absentee balloting process and getting ballots in the hands of people who have a stake in the outcome of the election.
Right. And that this is an association that's doing this. This isn't just a few individuals that hired onto a campaign. So now we have a consultant involved in one place. We have an association or a group that is involved. They're probably a 501c3 or C4, and there's a difference there too. It's just amazing. And then you have one in Miami, Florida, where they use a bolletera. Talk about what a bolletera is and does.
Yeah, vote harvesting is such a thing in certain states that they have special names for them. In Florida, the folks that are paid by campaigns to go collect these absentee ballots any way they can are called bolleteros. And in 1997, there was a mayor's race in Miami that eventually was overturned because of fraud involving, if you can believe it, 5,000 absentee ballots. And it included everything from folks being paid cash for their vote, for their absentee ballot, to people who were dead, somehow miraculously voting from the grave using absentee ballots, to folks who didn't actually live in Miami, but were falsely registered in Miami, also submitting absentee ballots in that race. It was such a widespread scheme that, like I said, the courts overturned the election, and they eventually criminally charged 55 locals who were involved in that, including a city commission member.
So we have a congressional race, we have mayoral races, we have school board races. It just they are in it all. It's not, you can't just say, well, this is a local election. We don't have to worry about fraud because it's our local election, not a federal election. Only fraud occurs at the federal level, but that's not true, is it, Rick?
No, it's not true, particularly because, look, it's often local races that are decided by an extremely small number of votes, sometimes just a handful of votes. And that's where fraud can really make a difference in close elections.
We're here at Conservative Commandos Radio Show talking with our guest, Hans von Spakovsky of the Heritage Foundation's Edwin Meese III Center for Law and Judicial Studies. He's done another survey. These are great on this time on how voting, harvesting those ballots is electioneering. And we are coming to you, as I said, from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM/FM 24/7. I'm Sharron Engel, here with my co-host Rick Trader, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information. 800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And once again, welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And for rebroadcast of our shows, check out our websites, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation is our guest today here on Conservative Commandos. And Hans has put together a lengthy report on voter fraud. And Hans, thank you for holding through that break. And I got to ask you this. Hans, is one side more guilty of voter fraud than the other?
Well, the answer to that is yes, but it is a bipartisan thing. I mean, look, we have a election fraud database at the Heritage Foundation. There are both Republicans and Democrats, and frankly, independents who've been charged and been convicted of voter fraud. We've got almost 1,300 cases now. But I think there tend to be more Democratic cases in there than others, and unfortunately, often it's Democrats stealing from each other. I mean, for example, one of the case studies in my new paper is a Democratic mayoral primary in East Chicago, Indiana. And there it was one of the Democratic candidates stealing from the other Democratic candidates in the race. So, like I said, it is bipartisan, but I think there tend to be more Democrats in our database than Republicans.
Well, I call that good practice, because eventually they're going to use those techniques on the Republicans. And Sharron and I were talking before we got you on the line today, and I really think I had Sharron's head spinning, because Hans, I've come up with the solution. I've come up with the solution to prevent voter fraud, for the other side to demand voter ID, for the other side to demand the end to vote harvesting, to demand the end of mail-in balloting, and that's this, Hans. We Republicans have got to become better at it than the Democrats. Then they'll demand, I'm serious, Hans, Sharron, then they will demand an end to these practices. They will demand fair and honest elections. Hans, don't want to be silly, but I think this is the only answer.
Hans is with me. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, sorry, Rick. I can't agree with you on that one. Look, I actually think what's interesting about this is that I think oftentimes, particularly the leaders of particular progressive organizations and others, they're really not in touch with their constituents. And the example of that is that, for example...
But they win elections.
Well, yeah, but like if you go to the Congressional Black Caucus, they're all very much against voter ID. They think it's a terrible idea. If you look at the polling on this, Black American voters, very much support voter ID. And in fact, when John Fund and I were writing our book about election fraud, we found some polling that showed that African Americans were more concerned about election fraud than other groups of voters. And I think part of that is because, unfortunately, they've seen it in their neighborhoods. And again, that's because, and I point this out again in my study, oftentimes the people who perpetrate this kind of fraud target the voters they think are most vulnerable and least likely to figure out what they're doing, which is the poor, the elderly, and the infirm. And so they are often, I think, the victims of this kind of fraud, and which is another reason why we really need to try to stop this, because it's disenfranchisement of those voters.
Once again, Hans, I got to ask this question. If vote harvesting is legal, why are Republicans so far behind the curve? I mean, if it's legal, why don't they take advantage of it the same way the Democrats take advantage of it? I know Sharron's laughing at me. She's busting on, she's about to bust up. Hans, why don't Republicans get into the game? If the rules are changing, go for it.
Well, I don't know how to answer. I don't know quite how to answer that, other than to say that, look, one of the big problems with states that legalize vote harvesting is that the people who are paid to do this don't just show up at people's front doors and honestly collect their ballot for delivery. They unfortunately go into people's homes and do things they shouldn't be doing, you know, pressure them to vote a particular way, fill out their ballots for them. That's the problem, and I think there are a lot of honest people involved in elections who just, fortunately, are not willing to do that kind of thing.
Hans, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned about the upcoming presidential election. The left has done everything possible to get rid of Donald Trump. As a last resort, they might use illegal elections to do it. Do you think I'm justified in my fears?
Well, what I think you're justified about is fearing the push for all-mail elections. That's been going on all over the country. There's like 140, 150 lawsuits that have been filed everywhere, Sharron, you know, including Nevada, over this issue. And the problem is that not only are these groups pushing for either a huge increase in absentee balloting or just an all-mail election, but at the very same time, they're trying to have the state get rid of the basic security protocols that are in place for absentee ballots, like requiring a witness to sign the absentee ballot to witness that, in fact, you, the voter, signed it. And yet they want to get rid of those kind of things at the same time that those same lawsuits want to legalize vote harvesting. Think about those two things, which make no sense. You know, they're saying there shouldn't be a witness requirement because, oh my gosh, with COVID-19, it's too dangerous to have somebody witness and sign your ballot, at the same time that they're pushing to allow strangers to come up to your front door to supposedly pick up your ballot and deliver it. Those two things are a complete contradiction in terms.
Hans, what can frustrated old men like me do? What can frustrated people like me do to ensure a fair and honest election? I even thought, hey, what if we sat 100 feet from the entrance to a polling booth, polling place, with a camera and record everybody that walked in and walked out, or walked up and down the street and took pictures of people's car license tags that went in to vote. Would that as a deterrent stop people from going in and voting illegally?
Well, I don't know if that would work. I think the biggest thing people right now ought to be doing is, look, election officials right now are making decisions on how they're going to run the election in November, including whether they are simply going to push everybody to vote by absentee ballots and therefore drastically reduce the number of open polling places. So right now, the average citizen ought to be calling their county election officials and say, look, I want to be able to vote in person in November. I don't want to have to trust my ballot to the U.S. Postal Service, which regularly misdelivers my neighbor's mail to me. So you guys had better not reduce the number of polling places open. And if you need volunteers to work in those polling places so you'll have enough folks to staff them, I will volunteer to do that.
All right. Hans von Spakovsky, Heritage Foundation. Hans, we always love having you here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Sorry I got silly, but that's my job sometimes. But Hans, please tell our audience how they could read your entire report and find out more about what you do at the Heritage Foundation.
Sure, they can find my report at heritage.org, heritage.org. If they just plug in 4 stolen elections, they'll pull up my new paper.
Hans von Spakovsky, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thanks for having me.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have another longtime friend of our show join us, Dr. Gerard Lamiero, author, philosopher, economist, and engineer, will be joining us to talk about who will win America's second revolution. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And once again, a reminder for rebroadcast, check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Well, Sharron, today's the day for longtime friends of the show to join us. We have another one here. The honor of the introduction is all yours.
It's always an honor for me to introduce one of my favorite guests because I just love his predictions. And that's Dr. Gerard Lamiero. He's an author, philosopher, economist, and engineer. He's the author of 5 books and is a popular TV and talk radio show guest. And he was a member of the 1980 Presidential Electoral College and personally cast 1 electoral vote for Ronald Reagan for President of the United States of America. Dr. Lamiero accurately predicted a Trump victory long before most pollsters and pundits gave Trump even a small chance of winning the presidential election. Dr. Lamiero correctly predicted every state that candidate Trump actually carried in the 2016 elections. And his latest book, Real World Socialism, is available from Amazon.com and other retail outlets and also on Kindle. Dr. Lamiero, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hi, it's great to be back with you.
It's great to have you, and you've written a very provocative article. Always the titles are provocative. Who will win America's second revolution? Well, the first one was in 1776. So, what's the second one about? I didn't know we were in a revolution. I think most Americans are looking at this and saying, what's going on? So tell us, what's going on?
Well, in 1776, we fought the first American Revolution to gain freedom from King George III and Great Britain. Now, we are also up against a foe that started out in Europe. It's Marxism, socialism and communism, and it started in Germany with Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. And believe it or not, the BLM folks, BLM, Black Lives Matter, is not a slogan. It is not a catchphrase. It is not a great moment or ideal that people are seeking. BLM is really the letters that stand for a Marxist political ideology. They are trained Marxists. They've said it. They want a revolution. They are against America as originally founded, and they want a revolt. Many of them have said they want to transform America. Others have said just plain outright they want a revolution. We are in a revolution. But what's really remarkable, there have been other communists in our history, but they never got quite this far because the Democrats were also American. But right now, the Democratic Party has morphed. It went from a liberal party to a progressive party. And by the way, the word progressive means progressing towards socialism. That's what it's really about. But now they have become full-out left-wing Marxist, socialist, communist organization. Their presidential candidate has an agenda that's Marxist, socialist, and communist. They want to transform our country. And by the way, to show that this is really the case, it's the Democrat governors in blue states and the Democrat mayors in some big cities that are basically overlooking the anarchy, the violence, the burnings, the lootings, all those things that are acts against our laws and our Constitution. And look in St. Louis, where a group broke down a fence, went in on private property, and the couple that lived there went out with guns to protect themselves because they knew about the rioting. They knew about how other people were damaged or had their buildings burned. They want to protect themselves. And now the radical leftist prosecutor in that area is indicting them for using a weapon in a felonious manner to protect themselves. That is turning our entire jurisprudence upside down. Instead of protecting them against the rioters, instead they're protecting the rioters against normal, everyday American people. This is a revolution. We are fighting it, and we're going to have to work hard this year to beat it. I think we will beat it. My predictions are that the American people want to have law and order, want to follow the Constitution, and will re-elect Donald Trump.
Well, I'm glad that we're talking about Karl Marx. You know, he had 8 people at his funeral. So in his time, he was not very well received. He was a philosopher of types. And he said his whole goal was to dethrone God and destroy capitalism. So here's our guy. But the ones that really brought it to reality were Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Lenin, and of course Trotsky. And we know all of them because of the Russian Revolution. So is that what we're experiencing now? Is that same kind of what they did in order to take over Russia? Is that what's happening right now in the United States? Because Khrushchev said, we'll bury you. He was a Marxist. He said that was his goal. I can remember that when I was a child. So is that what we're experiencing now?
Yes. It's much like the revolution in 1917, the Russian Revolution, and by the way, you know all about tearing down statues, and people are wondering, why are they tearing down statues? That's Marxist thinking. Karl Marx said, and I quote in this week's article, take away a people's heritage and they can be destroyed. That's what they're doing. They're trying to take away our heritage so they can destroy our system. They're against our system, clear. They are radicals, revolutionary, and they're people that want to overthrow the police because the police maintain law and order. They don't want the police. They want to hurt them. But the strange thing is, for most Americans, is to think that the other party, they used to call them the loyal opposition, but they're not that anymore, are siding with the protesters and the rioters and using that as a way to, if you will, destroy the country further, destroy the economy, and they're hoping to regain the momentum that's happening right now. There's a momentum and a shift of black votes to Trump. He's been picking up black support because he's done so well with them, with freedom and economically. And the Democrats know they're finished if they lose the black vote because they've always counted on getting almost 100% of them to vote Democratic. This year, they're not going to get close to 100%. That's why they're doing this, in part.
Well, and removing our history, they forget that Stalin and Lenin called themselves social democrats. So did Hitler. And, of course, the end of socialism's just the vehicle, and most socialists are just two communist, useful idiots. Once they've attained their goal of socialism in a country, the communists take over and they kill all of the socialists because you can't trust a socialist. That's what they said. If they turn on their own country, they'll turn on you. So do we have a society of useful idiots right now?
Well, we have a lot of people that are uninformed. Unfortunately, the left has gone after our educational establishment, and a lot of kids are growing up hearing that socialism is a panacea. You give everything to everybody. Everybody's happier. You get free cell phones, free health care, free child care. You name it, it's free. And the government's supposed to be able to tax all those evil rich people. And that doesn't work because if you tax it 100%, you run out in less than a year. It does not work. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say socialism doesn't work, does it? I mean, on any level, does it?
No. In fact, my book, Real World Socialism, talks about it. It talks about there have been many experiments. I think there have been about 70 different experiments in socialism or communism or the combination, and they have always failed economically, and they failed in both theory and in practice. They also fail, interestingly, spiritually and morally. The only way you can get anything done in a socialist or communist country usually is bribery. There is no morality. It's the elite get to live with one set of laws, which means they do whatever they please, and everybody else has to take orders from them. And by the way, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, when they were pushing socialism back in the 1800s, they wrote the Communist Manifesto in 1848. They believed communism and socialism were one and the same. They thought they were synonyms. They didn't even see a difference. They thought that there would be a movement toward communism and start with socialism. They considered both of them to be the same. And I think that's true today. The agenda of the Democratic Party is Marxist, socialist, and communist. And our country will be destroyed if people like Joe Biden are elected president, because I don't think he has any control over what the economy and the country is going to do. I think he is sold out to get elected president to people like AOC and the other radicals who are behind him. His agenda is what Bernie Sanders, an avowed socialist, and someone who honeymooned in Russia and liked communism, apologized for Fidel Castro. He's taken all Bernie's ideas and is going to run with them. So we're looking at socialism and communism if the Democrats continue to win.
Well, and I think you just identified the useful idiots, because we're kind of looking at them on the next presidential ballot is what it looks like. They are being used by an agenda that's so much darker and more evil. than anything we see them doing, and they're not above criminality, as we found from the news. We are talking with Dr. Gerard Lamiero, a philosopher, economist, and an engineer, an author who's written a great book, Real World Socialism, and now a great article as well, talking about who's going to win this latest revolution, our second revolution. And I know that Rick's going to talk to him more about it on the other side. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM/FM 24/7. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host Rick Trader, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Shout out time. Shout out to the folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network in Northern California. Dr. Gerard Lamiero is our guest. He's an author, philosopher, economist, and engineer. His latest book is Real World Socialism. Dr. Lamiero, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time. Dr. Lamiero, you and Sharron were talking about this earlier. In fact, you quoted this from your article, something that Karl Marx said: take away the heritage of a people and they will easily be destroyed. Well, Dr. Lamiero, you alluded to this, that our heritage, along with our history, is not being taught in the schools today. In fact, what the kids are learning is that heritage is racist, that our history is muddy with the stain of slavery, how we have to turn our backs on our history, how we have to muddy our founding fathers because they were racist. They owned slaves. Half of them owned slaves. They were really bad people. Can you blame them? Can you blame the kids today? It's not their fault.
No,
it's
I don't
their
blame the
teachers,
kids.
it's their professors, it's their parents for letting the teachers and the professors get away with this garbage.
That's right. You know, that's absolutely the fault of those who get to vote on school boards, those who run for school board. If you're a conservative, you should be running for school board and change your school system if it's a bunch of leftist propaganda. And many of them are. I know of one school district in Colorado that decided to elect conservatives, and they shook up the establishment big time. And they were shocked to have to teach the Constitution in school. But that's the kind of thing people have to do. And in terms of the universities and colleges, I believe that Donald Trump is thinking of cutting funding to the universities who do not allow freedom of speech and who silence conservatives on the campuses. And alumni should do the same thing. Why donate thousands of dollars every year to a university that's teaching un-American things? If you're a generous donor, find a cause that's better. And many people are doing that. In fact, Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk and his organization has created something, a website where you can donate to conservative causes and pledge that you're not going to donate to a liberal school that's your alma mater. And I think those kind of projects are going to pay off in that. By the way, I wrote the book.
Hope so. Hit him. Yeah, I hope so. Hit him in the pocketbook.
Right. I wrote the book Real World Socialism, by the way, at a level that high school and college students can easily read it. It's written for general public, but it's also written for them. And you could do them a great favor by giving them the book, because it tells you everything about socialism there is to know, why it fails consistently. And it also tells you all the reasons why their logic and their arguments don't hold water, why they fall apart, and why freedom and capitalism are far superior to socialism.
Well, in addition to giving that book to students, that book also needs to be given to the parents and their teachers.
Yes.
Dr. Lamiero, in your article, you write Democrats and socialists versus Trump and freedom lovers. America's second revolution is an ideological battle between Marxists, socialists, and communists that seek to, get this, Sharron, see if you ever heard this phrase before, fundamentally transform America. Where did we hear that before, Sharron Engel? That we're only a few days from fundamentally transforming America? Do you remember the first time you heard that? Well, the first time I heard that when Barack Obama was on a stage.
Right.
Dr. Lamiero, why are these mayors, these governors, falling into this trap?
Well, they believe it. A lot of them believe it. A lot of them believe in socialism. A lot of them have what Hayek, the great philosopher of the 20th century, called the fatal conceit. He had that famous book, The Fatal Conceit. They have the idea that they are smarter. You don't think Bill de Blasio doesn't think he's the smartest guy in New York City, despite the fact that his city is being run down and into shambles with lootings and crimes? And these people think they know better, but I think beyond that, they also are looking to the election. They are really afraid of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been the biggest roadblock to socialism in America that we've ever seen since Ronald Reagan. And he's standing there and he's overturning everything Obama did. He is doing the exact opposite of everything they want. He's appointing constitutional conservatives to the court system. He's appointed over 200 judges and justices that believe in the Constitution. They may not all do everything perfect, but that's okay. They're trying to do it according to the Constitution. These people know that another 4 years of Trump and a Republican House and Senate, they will not be able to overcome. The Democratic Party is going to end. I predicted it would end in roughly April of 2021, and that we're on target to see it over. And they know it, and this is a last gasp effort to stop Trump.
Well, I think that's why Ruth Bader Ginsburg spends her weekends at Bernie's, if anybody's seen that movie, because she is so fearful. She is so fearful of dying while President Trump is in the White House. Dr. Lamiero, you have a lot of positivity in your article. You write, I predict the 2020 election will be a historic and critical presidential election. You predict a landslide re-election for Donald Trump. The House will flip back to Republicans. The Republicans will pick up one seat in the Senate. You also predict a larger than anticipated election turnout. And you also write this: people will be voting the four important principles they seek in government: morality, freedom, peace, and prosperity. Will you talk about those four principles, please?
Well, it's in the DNA of the American people. I went back to 1789 and studied every presidential election. And what comes through clearly is the American people want four things. They want morality in government. They want their freedoms, the freedom of speech, which the Democrats are trying to deny them. And they're trying to do it on campuses. They're trying to do it through demonstrations. American people also want peace in their homes. They want peace in their cities, their neighborhoods, and with other countries. They don't want to be at war with any countries. And finally, they want prosperity. They want government to enable them to make money, enable them to be economically prosperous. They don't want heavy regulations or heavy taxation. They want prosperity. That's what they're looking for. The Democratic Party offers them the exact opposite, and they know it. And by the way, I want to give you a quick example about peace and these BLM protesters and rioters. In Denver, this past Sunday night in Denver, there was supposed to be a law enforcement empowerment rally that people on the right, conservatives and Republicans, were there to applaud the people in law enforcement, say how grateful we are and how we support you. The BLM people came in, noisemakers, they drowned them out, they started chasing them, they started beating them up. There were bloody conservatives there, and the Denver police were told to stand down, and they did not protect the conservatives. And BLM, if you don't agree with them, you don't have freedom of speech in their world. That's what America will be like if we vote for Democrats.
Dr. Lamiero, last time we spoke with you, your count was 348 electoral votes. Where's it stand today?
348. My predictions don't generally change too often. And Biden will get 190.
Dr. Lamiero, I just want to throw this thought out there to you. Donald Trump has got to run on law, order, security, and that's the winning phrase for this election. Do you agree?
Freedom, yes. Freedom, and also law and order, that's it. And they go hand in hand. You can't have freedom without law and order. You have chaos. That's what you have in democratic cities and democratic states.
Well, I think that's exactly what we are seeing today, chaos in the cities. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, Real World Socialism. Where can they get that book?
Amazon. And they can order it from other stores because not every bookstore carries it. I think they carry liberal books, but not conservative books.
And your website?
GreatNewsForAmerica.com, all spelled out. GreatNewsForAmerica.com.
Dr. Gerard Lamiero, we want to thank you so much for joining us. You take care and God bless.
God bless you and your listeners.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our show of longtime favorite guests continues here in the Conservative Commandos. After the break, we're going to have Charlotte Hayes, the Director of Cultural Programs at the Independent Women's Forum, join us, talking about citing bullying by colleagues. Barry Weiss leaves the New York Times. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Charlotte.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our TV show there, and a lot of other terrific articles and great information. And Sharron, our show of some of our favorite guests is continuing with one of my all-time favorite guests, and you had the honor of that introduction.
I do. It's always an honor to introduce Charlotte Hayes, who's the Director of Cultural Programs at the Independent Women's Forum. Charlotte has appeared on programs such as Politically Incorrect, C-SPAN's Washington Journal, and PBS's To the Contrary. She's a former correspondent for the National Catholic Register and a feature writer at the Washington Times. Her work has appeared in the Wall Street Journal, New York Magazine, and the Washington Post and Weekly Standard. Charlotte, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, I am delighted to be with you today.
Well, it's our delight and our pleasure, and you always write the most interesting articles. Here's one, citing bullying by colleagues. Barry Weiss leaves New York Times. Now, talk to us a little bit about the New York Times and Barry Weiss. First of all, New York Times, liberal or conservative publication? Barry Weiss, liberal or conservative journalist? What's the lay of the land there?
The New York Times is, as we will see in the course of this chat, ragingly left-wing. Barry Weiss, who just resigned and wrote an amazing resignation letter. Barry Weiss is sort of center-left. She's an independent thinker. And basically, her resignation letter to the New York Times it is an important letter. It marks a milestone in the downward trajectory of a really once great newspaper. Now, the Times reporters have always been liberal, but this is something else. I mean, when you read Barry Weiss's resignation letter, this sounds like, worse than an underground alternative newspaper in the 60s. Now, she's not the first opinion editor the Times has lost recently. James Bennett resigned, and his sin was allowing an op-ed piece by Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas. So, as I said, Weiss is not a conservative, but she's so much of an iconoclast that there was no room for her at the Times. There's no room for anybody who thinks independently. She was bullied by her peers. They called her a Nazi. I think they called her a racist. And the other thing that's so interesting is, the New York Times used to be just a sort of mighty, mighty newspaper. And now Barry Weiss says, Twitter is not on the masthead of the New York Times, but the Twitter mob rules the New York Times. Here's this paper that was one time, really an imperial paper. It was objective, at least in its news columns, and now it's run by the Twitter mob, people who don't even work for the New York Times. And I think the other great thing about Barry Weiss's resignation letter is she pinpoints at what really, really threw the Times off. It had been getting sort of bad. It had been getting sort of unobjective and totally liberal for quite a while. But it was the election of Donald Trump in 2016 that just completely flummoxed the New York Times. They didn't know what to make of it. They had never met any of these people who voted for somebody like Donald Trump. So instead of learning some lessons about this and, going out and meeting different people and learning what America's like, they basically dug in and became a bunker. And somebody like Barry Weiss, who's a terrific writer, gets called a Nazi and a racist, and of course they were critical of her support of Israel. Barry Weiss is an anti-Trumper. She wrote a terrific column on the Women's March against Trump, and she started off by saying she really didn't like Trump, but she also talked about the very chilling influences in the Women's March, the sort of people who are real haters, and Linda Sarsour, for example, she singled out, who is anti-Semitic. So you can't write this sort of objective journalism at the New York Times anymore. This is really, really important, this letter.
It is important, but it's kind of symptomatic. It seems like I was listening to Tucker Carlson last night talk about how he's being bullied. He had to leave town and get a new residence because they hounded him, put all of his personal information up, and he was really fearful for his children. And now they're threatening to expose his new address. Is this going to happen to Barry Weiss as well? Is this how? Just because she's resigned is at the end.
Well, it's not the end, but it's not the end in a way that's not going to make the Times feel very good. She strongly hinted that a lawsuit will follow, and she endured harassment, ostracism, and really a hostile work environment. So she's probably got a pretty good suit. But the Times in its glory days, it was liberal, but it would never have done anything like publish Tucker Carlson's home address. Now, they haven't done that yet. Tucker, I saw it last night too, and he sort of is afraid they will. And if they're even threatening to do that, it's a very bad thing. The Times is just, its decline has just been so shocking. I mean, look, I was a journalist for a long time. And even though I've been conservative for a very, very long time, I always sort of admired the New York Times. I think, I would have given my right arm to work there at many points in my life. But now I just regard it as I said, it's like a left-wing underground paper of the 60s, except that it's huge and really more intimidating.
So you say a lawsuit in the offing, and I think anyone who feels bullied and is getting this kind of treatment should consider lawsuits. But do they work? I mean, here we have people going to prison who are innocent, and people who are being accused of crimes who actually have crimes perpetrated against them. I'm thinking of that couple in St. Louis. Does the court system really side with justice anymore, or do the liberals have that completely cornered? Is that their territory now?
Well, listen, if Barry Weiss sues the New York Times, and she indicated she would, it won't be a criminal case like the cases you've cited. Mm-hmm. It'll be a civil case, and it'll be for damages, i.e. for money. And I think she's probably got them over a barrel on that. I know that there are people who've left the New York Times and have managed to come back and get a heck of a lot of money from the Times. And I think Barry Weiss will probably be able to do that because it's pretty documented that they gave her a hard time. And she'll obviously sue in a New York court, but I don't think the Times is as respected as it used to be. And I think that will contribute to however this suit is eventually resolved, and we just don't know whether or not it's how it's going to be resolved. I mean, it hasn't even been filed yet. She could make off with a lot of money, and I hope she does.
Well, it would serve them right. She actually is naming names in this. Arthur Sulzberger, who is the publisher, she directly addresses him.
Yeah, she says, Arthur, I can't. The letter is addressed to A.G., who is Arthur G. Sulzberger, and she says, basically, Arthur, I can't believe that you actually let this happen. And she says, that he praised her in private. Oh, you've got so much courage, but he wouldn't defend her publicly. And so he really allowed this hostile environment to develop. And so I really think they're probably going to be on the line for a lot of money. Who knows?
So he may be named as culpable, at least as part of the problem, rather than standing up for anyone on his staff. He's just kind of rolling. Are they going to continue to roll, do you think? I mean, it looks like that's the way they're going to be going from now on.
Well, I think the New York Times is probably a lost cause now. I remember when the Times had Abe Rosenthal as an editor, and I assume Rosenthal was very liberal. I just don't know. But his big thing was keeping opinion out of the news section, keeping the Times honest. I think he actually used that phrase. And the current editor is a guy called Dean Baquet, who has not kept the Times honest, who has sort of basically made his news reporting into just one long left-wing opinion section. I mean, this is not the New York Times that I grew up reading. It is a far different publication, and it's not a respectable publication anymore. It's really a left-wing rag, and I think that this letter is so important because it absolutely pinpoints the decline of an institution that used to be great. Now, it's always been liberal, but it really used to be a great newspaper.
Okay, so they had a role to play in the 2016 presidential election, and she pretty well exposed that as well, didn't she?
Well, I don't think she talked about so much their role in the election. I think what she talked about is the fact that she did. She talked about the fact that they simply didn't understand what was happening. And instead of making an attempt to understand what's happening, to find out what the rest of America is like, they've sort of turned into this, as I said, left-wing bunker. And I think that 2016 election was a turning point for the Times. I think it's when they just overtly went crazy.
It was interesting to me that their native son, Donald Trump, comes from New York, has quite a bit of investment going on there, and they turned against him. How does that happen? That usually they'll give a tip of the hat to someone who's from their town, at least give them a fair or a level playing field, even if they don't agree.
Well, because the Times is completely ideological now, and I think Trump is really a threat to the kind of Washington that the Times played politics in. It's Donald Trump is a threat to the swamp. He's a threat to the deep state. He's a threat to the establishment. And the New York Times is nothing if not establishment. I mean, the Washington bureau chief of the New York Times used to be like the ultimate Washington establishment figure, and it just crosses my mind. I don't even know who the bureau chief of the Times is right now. That says a lot, because if this were 10 or 15 years ago, I would know who it is. I would know a lot about that person, but I don't now. It just used to be an amazing organization. I know Gay Talese wrote this sort of epic book about the Times, and he called it The Power and the Glory. And so that gives you an idea of its just almost biblical giganticness. And now it's not something that has a lot of power and glory. Now it's like a left-wing rag writ really, really large.
Really, really large. We are talking with Charlotte Hayes, who's the Director of Cultural Programs at the Independent Women's Forum, about an article that she wrote citing bullying by colleagues. Barry Weiss leaves New York Times. And we've been talking about the New York Times and their fall from glory. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk America, and AM FM 24/7. We can also be seen on the AUN TV network in Northern California. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Rick Trader, and we'll be right back.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Once again, for rebroadcast, check out that website of ours, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. Charlotte Hayes is our guest. She's the Director of Cultural Programs at the Independent Women's Forum. We're discussing an article that she wrote citing bullying by colleagues. Barry Weiss leaves the New York Times. Charlotte, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time with us.
Well, I thank you for having me.
Charlotte, in your article you write, and Barry Weiss wrote, that about the New York Times. Twitter is not on the masthead of the New York Times, but Twitter has become its editor. Charlotte, Twitter, you and Sharron were talking about the New York Times no longer has the power and the glory. I think she's right. It's Twitter. Whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
That's where the power and the glory is in the media these days, is in Twitter. Why are conservatives losing this Twitter battle, Charlotte Hayes? Why are we losing this battle with the mainstream media?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know conservatives were losing the Twitter battle.
You think so?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's the New York Times and people who are sort of grim and pompous who are losing the Twitter battle. I wish I could cite some examples, but Twitter. I mean, Twitter. I'm sort of fond of Twitter because it punctures people's egos. It's a wild west out there, and listen, it's bullying the New York Times. You can't get much better than that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Charlotte, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about another article that you wrote. We had Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation on with us earlier, talking about a report that he wrote about mail-in balloting. And you wrote an article about mail-in balloting. And Sharron, I'm going to pull a little quiz on you, Sharron Engel. The title of this article is Two Truths and a Lie. All right, Two Truths and a Lie. Sharron, I'm going to read you these three statements. You tell me which the two truths are and which is the lie. Then we're going to have Charlotte Hayes pick them apart one at a time. And these are... Here they go. Can you identify which of these statements about mail-in balloting or mail-in voting is incorrect? 1, mail-in voting poses a threat to the integrity of our elections. That's A. B is, or number 2, mail-in voting will end the secret ballot. Number 3, or C, is mail-in voting is safe because our voter rolls and databases are always up to date. So Sharron Engel, you tell us which two are the truths and which one is the lie.
Well, of course, that's an easy quiz. C is the lie. Our voter rolls are in a shambles, and I'm sure that Charlotte's going to tell us all about that.
All right, so Charlotte, here we go. Mail-in voting poses a threat to the integrity of our elections. You say it's true. Why is it true?
It's true, and the Bipartisan Commission on Federal Election Reform in 2005 concluded that, quote, and I'm going to quote, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud, unquote. Mail-in voting is basically absentee ballots writ large, except it's a little bit more dangerous, a lot more dangerous. When you go for an absentee ballot, you sign up for it, you often have to give a reason as to why you need it, and so it's going to be a ballot that reaches you. Now, without those safeguards, the mail-in ballots are just, they're very, very dangerous because they'll be sent out in massive mailers. And most of the voter fraud we see in this country has been mail-in or absentee ballots. If a voter has trouble filling out a ballot at a polling place, she can get help. But mail-in ballots will be thrown away if they're not filled out correctly. So we have that, and almost all the safeguards just disappear. You can get hold of a ballot that's somebody else's ballot, and you can fill it out, and there's no way to tell if it's really you or your cat.
All right, the second one, mail-in voting is a threat to the secret ballot, and you say true. Why do you say that?
Absolutely true. Now, listen, the voting booth lets us go in and vote our consciences in private. We don't have to tell family and friends, and in fact, I suspect a lot of people lie about who they vote for. But mail-in ballots just eliminate this opportunity. Of course, you can say, I'm not going to tell you, but you really don't have the voting booth to step into. It's not your secret ballot, your right to vote your conscience without telling anybody is not preserved. And the other thing is that voters often, if you're infirm or can't go mail it yourself, you can designate somebody to harvest your ballot. Mm-hmm. And this is an invitation to fraud. And listen, Rick, given the intensity of the current election, do you think that there aren't a lot of people who will change somebody else's vote?
Absolutely. And Sharron and I had this conversation with Hans von Spakovsky. I'm really concerned that this is going to change the outcome of the election. I mean, look what happened to Norton Coleman up in Minnesota. That election was stole from him. We have many, many, many examples. Hans von Spakovsky had an example of 4. But also, Charlotte, you say here, mail-in voting is safe because our voter rolls and databases are always up to date, and you call that a lie.
It's an absolute lie. The approximately 24 million, one in every 8 voter registrations in the U.S. is no longer valid. The person may have died. The person may have moved away. So basically, if we have massive mail-in voting, people don't go and apply for an absentee value. They just mail out these ballots from so dead people will get ballots, your cat will get a ballot, whatever, and somebody can find these when the rolls are not purged, when somebody's died or lost their right to vote in some way, ballots will be sent erroneously to non-voters. Now, do you think that again we're having a really intense election now? How many people will refrain from misusing ballots if a box of ballots fell into the hands of?
No, they're going to get used. New Jersey had a governor. His name was Brendan Byrne. And Brendan Byrne said when he dies, he wanted to be buried in Hudson County so his vote would continue to be counted. All right, that was New Jersey governor.
Yeah, well, I always dread dying because I know I'll have to become a Democrat when I die.
Well,
because dead people always vote Democrat.
Sharron, Sharron and Charlotte, we only have a couple of minutes left here, but Charlotte, again, in this segment with Hans von Spakovsky, I said I have the cure for all the ills of the absentee ballots, of the stolen mail-in ballots, of the voter registration fraud. And that's this, Charlotte Hayes. The Republicans need to get better at these things. Because when they start to steal the elections the way the Democrats do, the Democrats will be beside themselves, demanding photo IDs, demanding the end of same-day registration, demanding the end of mail-in ballots. Charlotte Hayes, we Republicans need to become better thieves.
No, I totally disagree. I hope you're facetious, Rick. I think what we need to do is fight against the mail-in ballot.
Well, Charlotte Hayes, maybe we need to sacrifice a few Republicans in the Second World War.
Rick, you can't. We don't want to embrace voter fraud, even if the results might be just what you think. I really think that the better thing is to fight against the mail-in ballot. And I will say this: if we have universal mail-in ballots this year, A, we won't be prepared, and B, we will never ever again elect a Republican.
Oh, I agree. That's why I'm so fearful of this. That's Charlotte.
Oh, I'm very fearful of it.
Charlotte, in the Second World War, 400,000 servicemen and women sacrificed their lives to secure our freedoms and liberties. Hey, let's sacrifice a few Republicans who partake in voter fraud So the Democrats arise en masse and demand reforms.
I just can't endorse voter fraud, Rick. I'm sorry. I'm just a stick in the mud. I'm not as adventuresome as you are.
Charlotte Hayes, Independent Women's Forum. Charlotte, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on Conservative Comments. Sharron, I'm outvoted. All right.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Hans and Charlotte both agree with me.
Charlotte, tell our audience how they could follow your work and the work of the Independent Women's Forum.
Please go to IWF.org. We have a fabulous, fraud-free website.
Charlotte Hayes, thank you so much for joining us. Great to talk with you. Take care. And God bless, my friend.
Same to you and Sharon.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be back with more right after this break.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and zero deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Well, Sharon, that just about wraps it up for today. I had so much fun. Three of my favorite guests here in Conservative Commandos, all in one show.
All in one show, and I want to thank them all. They were great. We had Hans von Spakovsky talking about a new report that he's got out. I hope people will go to heritage.org and just type in 4 cases and see what he's got there on ballot harvesting for us. Our second guest, Dr. Gerard Lamiero, always great to hear Dr. Lamiero give us predictions. Of course, this one is who's going to win the second revolution. And he says Trump by a landslide, which is good news for us all. Finally, we had our good friend Charlotte Hayes from the Independent Women's Forum talking about an article she wrote citing bullying by colleagues. Barry Weiss leaves New York Times, and also about another article, two truths and a lie. And she also disagreed with you, Rick. We can't we can't be going to the dark side to try and win this voter fraud thing. We have to do it on the up and up like we always do. Stick to the Constitution, stick to the rule of law. Right does win after all. And we've just got to believe that. And if anybody would like to follow me, they can go to SharonAngle.com, SharonAngle.com.
Well, Sharon, we've destroyed the myth that Rick only brings on guests who agree with him, right? So we've destroyed that myth, haven't we? But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run and we got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.